It's the unhappy hour.
Do you re-sign Mayfield this offseason, or do you just pick up his fifth-year option?
Okay, and the difference would be a multi-year deal versus 1 year.
Do you re-sign, like Mahomes, Wentz at the time, which obviously is the other side of that equation? Some of these quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, they get the max deal after their fourth year, which I guess this is so we can, or I guess was after their third year, because both of them were a year ahead of Mayfield. So yeah, do you wait and let Mayfield play out his rookie contract, or do you sign him to a max deal now?
All right, that's our question of the day.
Not a max deal, but
yes. So that's our question of the day. Should the Browns sign Baker Mayfield to a contract extension, or should you just do the 1 year extension to see a little bit more? Have you seen enough out of Baker Mayfield is essentially the question we're asking. Are you ready to go a couple years now? Are you ready to go a couple years with Baker Mayfield? We'll find out. But hey, everybody, we are live now on Facebook. And sorry, we didn't go live on YouTube because something was glitching with the streaming service. I don't get it, but maybe we'll figure it out later. Welcome to another episode of The Unhappy Hour. My name's Brian. Thank you so much for joining us here under the flagship of The New American Media, because the old American media has failed us. Follow us on all the places, because sometimes I'm with you in Facebook land and sometimes I'm not. So Instagram, we're The Unhappy Hour. On YouTube, we have The New American Media, so it's youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia, and we are starting a brand new YouTube-only channel for sports only YouTube channel, so follow us there. We will have a Parler. We currently have The New American Media, but we will add Parler. Twitter, at American_media_. That's the main place to find all of the stuff, but if you're going to sports only, it's at The Unhappy Hour _. So on the phone with us today is Brandon. Brandon and I have known each other for quite some time, back in the days when, what was the famous broadcast duo, Brandon, when we used to watch the Major League Baseball playoffs, when those late 90s Indians teams were so good? We've known each other since back in, probably the Cleveland Indians played the Florida Marlins in the World Series, right?
That was 1997, so that certainly would have been in line when we were first knowing each other back in the Cole Hall days.
Absolutely. So Brandon and I have been fans of Browns football our entire lives. We grew up in suburbs outside of Cleveland. We played on the same fields. We played each other. Like we both love the game of football. And since the Browns were taken from us in '96, the product on the field has been trash. It's been awful. And Brandon and I have gone to, how many games would you guess you and I have been to, Brandon? Bad games. How many games do you think we've been to over the years?
Have we been to together, or have I been to, just in general?
Oh, well, you have season tickets, so that number, actually both. I wonder what both of those numbers are. That'd be something.
We've only been to a handful of games together. I bet we've only been to maybe 4 games together, tops.
And even when we're not there in person with each other, sometimes we're at the game in different places, sometimes, but man, we've seen some bad football is the point I'm getting at. Since we met, we've not had a lot to get excited about. Since you and I have become friends, we haven't had a lot to get excited about. There were some good players in those years, right? But it's been pretty bad. It's been pretty subpar football. So how excited are you to see what's happening with the Browns right now?
Oh, this is absolutely tremendous. Completely unexpected, especially considering how the season started, and just the craziness of the coronavirus and everything else. But I guess in the grand scheme of things, it ultimately shouldn't be that surprising, because it just figures that the time that the Browns are finally going to make the playoffs is the time that you can't even actually get all that many people into the stadium to watch them play. So
that is
disappointing.
It's very disappointing. Number one, it's the Brownsiest thing you could imagine. It's the most Cleveland-y thing that you could imagine. But number two, it is really sad, because there's a lot of memories, lifetime memories that are made at these games. Do you feel like the NFL's handling this right? I know maybe that's a subject we weren't ready to get into, but how do you feel about the limited participation for fans, some fans? Is it enough? Is it too much? Did they nail it? What do you think?
Wait, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question. Can you say that again?
With the NFL's restrictions on fans, do you think they got the policy right? Do you think they could be allowing more fans or shouldn't be allowing this many? What are your thoughts as a lifelong season ticket holder?
I mean, I have a hard time questioning decisions that any governing body is trying to make right now, when ultimately they are trying to err on the side of caution, especially early on with the pandemic. There's just so much new. It's hard to know what is the right thing to do, and so yeah. I think that ultimately, I guess the NFL's decision to leave some of this up to the individual states to decide what to do was probably a good idea. And I think in the places where people have to be indoors more, like in Ohio in winter, you're going to see numbers go up more than in Florida in winter. Florida is probably doing a lot better than Ohio because people can still be outside. So
there's a big vitamin D component to it.
Obviously, the whole California thing is a whole different ball game altogether when they're closing restaurants down while having movie shoots allowed to have catering tents set up next door to them and stuff. But that's something for a different story. Fact of the matter is I think that I can't fault Roger Goodell for any of the decisions that he's made. Really, if you look across the board, every single American sports ratings have been way down during the pandemic, except one, the NFL. The NFL ratings, you can't touch them. Ratings have been better than ever. There's still consistently 2 or 3 of the top-rated 10 shows every single week. And so, like I said, I can't really fault Roger Goodell for any of the choices that he makes. Here's the weird thing, you don't even think about I'm not even paying. It just occurred to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers are playing as we speak. Do you know what the score of that game is?
No. I no.
I have, because if you want to talk about the weirdest thing is having these games that are on at 5 o'clock on a Monday, and you kind of forgot that there shouldn't even be a game going on at this point. So that's one of the weirdest things. But you know what isn't weird is the Cleveland Browns. It may be weird to think that they're playing well, but the proof is in the pudding right now. They are kicking butt in every phase of the game, and I'm really, really liking what I'm seeing from this team right now. And just FYI, it is 14-10 Pittsburgh over the Washington football team.
Okay, all right. So yeah, obviously rooting for the Steelers to lose. Yeah, it has been strange, but something that hasn't been strange seems to be the stability of Kevin Stefanski. Look at what Greg Williams did yesterday. Not to go too far off track, but he blitzed 8 people on the final play of a game leading to a loss by the Jets. Now, obviously, you might actually want to lose all these games if you're a Jets fan, but he got fired because of it. Whether it was the instability of Greg Williams or Freddie Kitchens, Dorsey as the GM, Kevin Stefanski and that coaching staff sure seems to have put together a stable team. I heard Coach talk. I think he was talking with Joe Thomas and someone else about what did he say? He said that they've limited their menu so a maximum number of people can dine on it. Something along the lines of we've started with basic things and concepts that everybody can understand. And I've seen a lot of players have to step up when Odell Beckham gets hurt, when Nick Chubb gets hurt throughout the season. And I've seen a lot of stability. Can you talk about the coach and what you've seen out of the coaching staff compared to other years?
I think I've said this before in some of our other discussions, but I'll reiterate even if I have, is the fact that how often in our fandom have you found yourself just consistently complaining about a coach's, say, like clock management or play calling in difficult situations and stuff like that, like, key calls in key situations. And no one is going to be perfect on that. But I have long been, you just expect to second guess the play calling for a Cleveland Browns head coach. I can't think of one time this year, and once again, no one is perfect, and I'm sure that there have been a handful of calls every single game that Kevin Stefanski would do differently. But I don't go into any game feeling like we're going to be outcoached, and I don't find myself second-guessing Kevin Stefanski. He follows the process. He has a process. He sticks to it. And, I was listening to a little bit of his press conference from earlier. Dude is the exact same guy as if we just had gotten blown out by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like, excuse me, I'm sorry. They have one of their biggest games in the history of the franchise, really, coming up next weekend. Monday night versus Baltimore. I guess so, not weekend, but next week. Monday night versus Baltimore. The team is riding a 4-game winning streak. Baltimore needs it with to save their playoff lives, and it's just business as usual. Let's go 1-0 this week. So I love Kevin Stefanski, and the team has definitely started, which is generally what they say. The team takes on the personality of its coach, and this team is about business right now, and business is good.
Yeah, and business is
hitting,
good.
Hitting is their business,
and business is good. Yeah, it's been something phenomenal. Let's talk about Myles Garrett coming back and anchoring that defense. It's hard to say what our anchor on that defense has been because Myles missed 2 games. Denzel Ward has missed games. We're missing Grant Delpit. We're missing Greedy Williams. We have so many injuries in that secondary. It's the next man up. Talk about Myles Garrett. Talk about the defense in general before we get into the offense. What did we see in this time? What did we learn about our defense? Because we're still trying to figure out who are we. What level of talent is this team capable of? Where are the weaknesses? What can be exploited? What can be schemed out? And can our players just play and learn to get better as time goes in the same system? What did we learn about them from the Titans win and to this point in general in the season? Who is this defense?
Well, if you want to know who a leader of the defense is that maybe you wouldn't necessarily, a name that isn't the first one that comes to mind, try the guy who stuffed Derrick Henry on that 4th and 1, just absolutely flipped him backward. That's B.J. Goodson. That's a guy that you always hear shouting on the field. Stefanski has said that he gets all the guys pumped up in the locker room, and that is the leader of your defense right now. Is B.J. Goodson.
Wow. And what is his story for the people that aren't as familiar with, how he got his opportunity here and how has he stabilized a defense that's gone through so many injuries?
Special teams player from Green Bay. I think he got a decent amount of starts his final year with Green Bay because of some injuries, and turned that into a modest contract, probably loaded with some incentives for the Browns to come in and get an opportunity to start. And obviously, he's made the most of it. He was expected to be a major contributor, and then with as many key defensive pieces as we've been down at various points in the season, he's been very important.
Yeah, and like you said, stuffing Derrick Henry, that's a physicality play. That's who wants it more? We've seen those drills in the Disney movies. You line up with your heads down, you jump up, and you have to tackle each other. You can't let them go past you. Who wants it more?
That's the baddest dude in football. He just stuffed. I mean, that's not. Derrick Henry is. That's a grown man right there.
You're right. Was this like a Bosworth, Bo Jackson moment? Remember the hype for that?
Yeah. Except, wasn't Boz kind of a letdown in the NFL, though? Like, kind of a bust?
Yeah. Well, compared to Bo Jackson, who was like the most incredible athlete of all time until his hip injuries derailed him. I mean, you've never seen anything multi-sports, but, it's just, I just wonder what would be different on this team, if we had any of our defensive backs, if we had some of these people. We can't spend too much time worrying about the things that aren't. They're just not. Injured players aren't going to magically heal in time to play this season. It just is what it is, next man up. But, once again, it just seems like whoever they put in there, they are having the opportunity to understand the system so that you can tell when too much is being asked of a player, especially on limited reps. Either they know where they're supposed to be or they're not. Either they're offside, false starts, illegal motion, you're burning timeouts with a 24-second clock. Two things about Baker and clock management. We don't see a lot of the clock running down confusion, do we? We don't see a lot of that.
No.
Do we? We've gotten used
Not
to it over the years. And so I think that says something really big about your quarterback and your coaching. And then secondarily, something John Elway was so good at, and so, Aaron Rodgers and others, the snap count. Have you noticed how many times Baker's able to draw the other team 5 yards offside to either extend the drive or just cripple them?
That's something that they've been really stressing as kind of just like an added little thing. Is his use of cadence is kind of like a hidden weapon of his.
Absolutely.
So,
I think that's good coaching. That's good cerebral coaching. That's strategy. It's gamesmanship. It's really being the puppet master. When they can't tee up on you, when they can't line up, learn your rhythms, and just start firing, they're on their heels. And if they're on their heels, you got Wyatt Teller coming at you. And by the way, how great is the Browns' offensive line been?
It is. It's cooking right now. Baker got hit one time, 0 sacks, and the Titans aren't the best defensive line in football, but still, for as many dropbacks as he had.
Yeah.
So offensive line is playing great. It's no coincidence that the team has been doing this well. And not only has Chubb been back at that time, but also Wyatt Teller.
Right. Yeah, and Wyatt Teller. What did we got him off of Buffalo for like a 6th or 7th round draft pick? Is that what we traded for him in the offseason? Is that where he came from?
Something like that. Because we had some injuries or something like that. I couldn't even tell you. It's a scrap heap anyway.
I was trying to remember off the top of my head. It was something like that, but. I feel like our general manager has really upgraded us at a lot of positions. How would you grade Barry's job so far that he's done? Big scores. Whether it's re-signings, because we have another re-signing issue. We're kind of bearing the lead here. We're going to talk about Baker Mayfield, but just the contracts the people that he's brought in and re-signed. How do you think our GM's done this year compared to the other GMs?
Yeah. And just FYI, I have about 5 minutes left here. So I will say that my respect for Andrew Berry is significant. He has made a lot of good choices, but let's still give some credit to John Dorsey. This is still largely John Dorsey's team, and and he's seeing some dividends being paid off with some of those guys. It was unfortunate how things ended. Obviously, the great mistake of John Dorsey is going to be not hiring Stefanski a year sooner.
We could have been in year 2 of this system, Brandon. That's scary. You know what this team's going to be next year? Now that they have some repetitions? Deadly. Beyond deadly. You might have just seen a sample of that first half. It's all,
I certainly hope so, my friend.
Yeah, it's all stuff that it seems like Baker's capable of making. Why don't we wrap up on the lead here? You know, Baker's gone, 5 games without throwing an interception. Obviously, he had a fumble at the end of the game, a dumb play that he has to improve on. A lot to learn on, but, you know, we've seen it with his completion streak against the Bengals after OBJ gets injured. We saw it yesterday. Talk about what we're seeing out of Baker freaking Mayfield.
He's feeling dangerous. I don't think that there's any other way to say it. Probably the best, the main thing to say right now is that he's really starting to feel comfortable with the play calling and in Stefanski's system. And I think that Stefanski is really like the two of them are really starting to be on the same page, and I think that's what is showing right now more than anything else. So I see that growth continuing to happen. It's the kind of growth that you see from having trust between a coach and quarterback, and it's why the teams that have established coaches and established cultures are always going to be at an advantage. And that's why Tom Brady has been so good for so many years. That's why Drew Brees has been so good for so many years. That's why Roethlisberger has been. I mean, these guys have had the same coach, the same systems, with some tweaks, obviously. Oh, yeah. But they know what to expect, and their coaches know what to expect from them.
Yeah, and you see someone like Baker. That first drive was executed as perfectly as I've ever seen a first drive ever executed. Until that touch, and I consider it a perfect drive because Baker gave the wide receiver Peoples-Jones that touchdown. It was there. He missed it fine. I'll consider that a perfect drive execution by Baker. He did his job perfect. They had to settle. Fine. He couldn't make it happen on the next play. But Baker's going to everybody now. The OBJ not being there, he's a supernova. How much of Baker's growth has come from maybe trying to not feel the need to overthrow to the supernova and now being forced to play without him and reverting back to the guy that just looks around and hits the people that are open? He seems more reflexive.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, he just seems like he's playing by reflex. He's not overanalyzing it anymore. What are you seeing? Do you see something similar?
I think that is really, really overblown. The lack of Beckham being a positive for Baker. You're talking about one of the best receivers in football, and a guy who has won a few games for us earlier in the year. Certainly, he won that Dallas game for us. This is what I'll say. I mean, I guess I already said it once. Baker Mayfield is better now because he is starting to get comfortable in Kevin Stefanski's system.
Yeah.
There is no substitute for game reps, and he would be better with Odell Beckham Jr. than without Odell Beckham Jr. If you had Odell Beckham Jr. running that slant that Donovan Peoples-Jones dropped, you know, it wouldn't have been a drop. I mean, there's just our offense is worse because we don't have OBJ.
Right. And
Baker Mayfield is better not because of the subtraction of OBJ, but because of the growth in Kevin Stefanski's system.
I like that. That's a good way to describe it, and I could not argue with that. I feel as though Baker has improved, though. You know, I'm not saying that Baker's better without him there. I think there is some truth to maybe he was in his own head a little bit, and as he's settled into his system, he's trusting the process instead of what was in his old system from Freddie Kitchens that he was dusting out from last season. You know, old habits and old routines. You know, with stability comes, comfort and then the ability to express yourself more freely because you're comfortable in your surroundings. So I guess
and with great coaching comes improvement.
Absolutely, and
So,
this team has improved from the beginning of the year. So, final question, Brandon: do you re-sign Baker Mayfield? Have you seen enough to give him an extension? Do you feel like you want to see more? Sign him for one more year? What would you do if you were in charge?
I think if you can sign him to like a Kirk Cousins level, like the $30 million range, which is the going rate for your mid to upper tier starting quarterbacks, I think that's probably something that you strongly consider. I mean, he's not getting Mahomes money. No one else is getting Mahomes money. But I would say that, look, anybody who wants to say that Mayfield isn't going to take you to the Super Bowl and blah, 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 we have had 20 years of cycling through 3 or 4 quarterbacks a season. And having, you know, the famous back of the jersey type of a thing. We have a solid guy who we can win with that has started every game since his first game in the NFL 3 years ago. And that's not something that you throw away.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, I love his quotes too. Have you been taking notice of his
his Dwight Schrute quote? Yeah.
The
Little
Dwight
pop culture reference.
Yes, it was. How does that quote go? I think to myself, how does that go?
Well, I think to myself, what would an idiot do? And then if it's something an idiot would do, I don't do that thing or something like that. So anyway, listen,
it is
the
pretty
Browns
funny. I'm happy
are
with
going
them.
in a really positive direction. It all comes back to the coach, and it really seems like we have our guy. We might have, there might be another quarterback out there who is better than Baker Mayfield. But right now, it seems like you have a good fit between system and coach.
Yes.
The things that Mayfield is best at with some of his gamesmanship and ball fakes, and he's really good at run and play action.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have a play action coach. This is a win-win. So obviously, would the Browns be better if they had Patrick Mahomes? Yes. Would they be better if they had Russell Wilson? Yes. They have Baker Mayfield. We drafted him number 1 overall. He's winning games for us. Go Browns.
Go Browns. But I'll add one thing to that. What if Baker Mayfield knocks the Chiefs out of the AFC Championship game and wins the Super Bowl? He could change how we think about him, right? If he does that?
He would be changing a lot of people's opinions of him if he even wins a playoff game this year.
I think he's
But
capable.
if he makes it to the Super Bowl, once again, that's so Browns to make it to the Super Bowl the year that you're not allowed to hold a parade.
Or a Super Bowl party.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, go figure.
All right. Hey,
all right.
Go Browns.
Go Browns.
We'll see what happens. I think that they can definitely take it to the Ravens. I'm going to say 31-17 over the Ravens on Monday night. Go Browns.
Go Browns.
Keep in mind, the Ravens still have to play another game. They still have to play tomorrow before next week.
That's wild. That's right. Yeah, I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a statement game. I think it's time. Mm-hmm. We're a different team. So.
It's time. Let's take it to them.
Go Browns, dude.
Hey, take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
To be continued. Take care, B. There he goes, everybody. Brandon. So good to have him with us. So glad to have you on our show, in our places. So follow us in all the places. Instagram, The New American Media. On Twitter, The Unhappy Hour _ on Twitter. Follow us, The Unhappy Hour on Instagram. We're going to start a parlor. Go to TheNewAmericanMedia.com. That's our homepage. We're revamping it, so changes are coming to the homepage. Just link up with us. We love talking Cleveland sports, Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes. We should be talking about the Buckeyes and their chances in the championship. The playoffs, the college football playoffs. Playoffs? The 9-3 Browns are in great shape right now. Have not clinched anything, but we're very close to clinching. And I'm very excited. This is maybe the most excited I've been about a Cleveland Browns team in a long time. It's hard to remember back to those good 90s teams. It's hard to remember back. Then, of course, the Bernie days. Woo! Now we're getting far back. But Baker's doing stuff that you have to go back to the days of Otto Graham to throw for 4 touchdowns in a half. Well, guess what? He had 5. The record book isn't going to say that, but he had 5. You know he had 5. You saw Donovan Peoples-Jones and nobody anywhere near him. That was an easy touchdown. He had 5, but he won't show it. It's only 4, but we know he had 5. Baker's doing stuff. He's capable. He's capable of winning. And why not? Why not us? Why not now? I don't know. We got to go out and win, but we got playmakers. We've got as many playmakers as anyone else in the league. Bring it. Put your 5 best against our 5 best. I'll show you some playmakers. Your 5 versus our 5. Your 10 and our 10. All right. I think our 10 match up with any other 10. Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Kareem Hunt. Yeah. Yeah, we could, think about that. Wyatt Teller, that whole offensive line, our 15 against your 15. I don't know. I think we match up well. I think we've proven that we can do a lot of things, and we haven't even done it right yet. And this is a team that has still not put it all together for a whole game. We could knock in 70 points a game. We could. We really could. Because in the right conditions, there's no one that can stop us but ourselves. But, any given Sunday. I don't think we're a bulletproof team. I don't think we're invincible. Don't get it twisted. A lot of these games have been one-possession games, and it makes you nervous. And it's like, if you can't win it by 2 or 3 scores, I'm not saying it was ever in doubt. But you want to put a team down when they're down. Don't let them get back in it. You got to do it. That's what I learned playing in high school. I was a backup. I was the first backup defensive end on a state championship football team. We went to the state championship. We lost in the final game. We were winning at halftime, but we lost. But we went to a state championship. So runner-up, I guess, in Division I. It was a good team. So when we were beating teams by a lot, like the Browns were up 38 to, 7 or something? 6? 9? What? 10? I don't know. 11? When you're up as much as the Browns were at halftime, you want to finish it. So when my teams were winning significantly over our opponents in high school, a couple series into the third quarter, they'd send in the second stringers. Engel, get in there. All right, it's my time now. Let's go. Let's do this. And I loved it because now I got to play against their starters, which gave me the experience for my senior year when we also went undefeated and went into the playoffs. We won our first game and then we lost our second game. Division I, good. We lost to the eventual state champion the next year, I guess. Canton McKinley. But when we would come in as second stringers in the third quarter, we had to dominate just like the people behind us. We can't be the reason why something bad happens. That's our ass on the line. You got to have some pride in that. And you have to have some skill to pull it off. So, but we were so well coached, and I say that you can tell when someone's well coached, when someone's raised right. Their interactions are just normal. I'm not very normal. I have, when you live in Los Angeles for 15 years and you do some acting and you're silly and you're always creating content, you're always kind of playing characters, different scenes, you'll try different jokes, I need to do some stand-up. I would love to do some stand-up. Probably, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to put together 5 minutes. I'll probably just write a few jokes down on some cards, but I'd like to do that. I'd like to do some stand-up. But anyway, the point is, you can tell when you're interacting with someone if they're normal, if they seem all there. You're like, I bet you that person was raised right. They're coming off the right way. You can tell when a team is well coached. I like to say that we did not suffer from paralysis through analysis. That's where, in the middle of a play, you're thinking about where am I supposed to be? What does that mean? You're not supposed to think. You're supposed to be reacting. If they do, and you're trained all week. It's hand to hand, and you're going through the motions. If this guard kicks down, watch out. They're gonna have a pulling. And you'd learn what would happen on sweeps and reverses, and how to not overextend yourself on a play and get out of position, or to get turned in and someone gets outside contained. It's our job for outside containment between us and the sideline. So everybody else on the field knows I've got it from here to the sideline. You guys have to get everything behind me. and then they play accordingly. Either they trust that I'm going to do that or not. So anyway, the point is that you see that in coaching. You can see it when a team isn't going off sides, committing too many penalties. You can tell. You can just tell they're not burning their 24. The 30-second clock. The clock. How many seconds is it? 24 seconds? No, 30. 32 seconds? 30 second. 30-second clock. Tell me, how many seconds are the clocks? I forget. Anyway, you can just tell that a team is well coached, and Kevin Stefanski sure seems to have the Browns there right now. They're 9-3. They're headed to the playoffs. Holy crap, I've been waiting for this for a long time. So that's why we do the Unhappy Hour. That's why we meet. We love the Indians. We love the Cavs. We love the Browns. We love the Buckeyes, the Blue Jackets. We just like talking sports. We're not all fans of the same exact team, but we have a general respect and appreciation for sports, and we think it's fun, just like Nimbus. I like having Nimbus in the shot. I kind of like this setting. This is a pretty nice, maybe this could be the new studio. I don't know if it could, I don't know, I'm thinking. I like the backdrop. It's okay. Still haven't really settled in on the perfect studio yet. There's a few locations, a few areas that tweaking with. Working with. Twerking with. Okay, that's about enough for me tonight. Get excited. Have some fun. Get your kids involved. Maybe try to go to a game. I don't know. I know it's you guys in your pandemic, but just be responsible and go live your life and try to boost your vitamin D and your zinc. Always, don't listen to any of my advice. Talk to your doctor, but I've heard a lot of smart people say that if you take some vitamin D and zinc, that's going to be helpful in general. Take some echinacea tea, have some vitamin C, some emergency. Boost up with your multivitamins, whatever you happen to enjoy the most. But yeah, if you get a chance, go to these games. They're letting 6,000 people in, 10,000 people in. They're all different, stadium to stadium, city to city, state to state. I get it. But try to have some fun. Throw some parties about this. These Baker Mayfield days are going to be like the Bernie Kosar days that you remember. And that's how the tradition lives on. So be sure to just enjoy it. Yeah, we're not a perfect team. We're not a perfect team, but we're a good team. We're a good team. We've proven it. We're a good team this year, so enjoy it. Browns, baby. It's so good to have them back. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so much. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.